Okay guys, we are in the Navigator. Buckle up real quick. Vehicle is on as well. And yeah, it's simple driving experience, I think. Other than it's a massive boat of, of an SUV. I don't know if you can see the heads-up display on camera, but there is a massive heads-up display right there. You have all your systems, and we went through that in the full review. But let's pop it into drive. To do that, we pop it into drive using this piano key selector. And here we go. We put it into reverse. We have our reversing cameras come up on the display. Let's put it into drive real quick. And off we go. Now this Navigator, I said this earlier, it sounds good for a twin-turbo V6, and it's actually pretty impressive how they're able to get that exhaust note, but I guess Ford was able to do that when they kind of worked the exhaust around on the new Raptors, on the F-150 side of it, and they made that exhaust sound good, so I guess they applied that to the Navigator. But it is still incredibly quiet in here. We have acoustic laminated glass, and this is all something you would expect from a vehicle that costs $100,000 plus, which this one does. And this is still not fully loaded up a vehicle, which is crazy. Like I said, it is supremely quiet in here. You do have ventilated and heated seats, automatic climate control, and all of those wonderful features, of course, as you would expect in a Navigator. And I do want to point out that this does not have air suspension. That is something that you're going to find in a Cadillac Escalade, for example, as well as the more body-on-frame competitors such as a Mercedes GLS and the X7, even a Range Rover as well. But I do have to say, if you don't get the heavy-duty towing package, which unfortunately is standard on the top trim BlackLabel models, the car actually rides a little bit better. With the heavy-duty towing packages, it is going to firm things up, I think, just because of the additional towing that the thing is capable of. That was one little tidbit I did learn about these Lincolns, is that heavy-duty towing packages can actually make the ride a little bit firmer. I believe this one does have it, because we do have additional tow settings on this one. But nonetheless, it is still pretty comfortable. Like I said, we do have different drive modes if you want to activate those, but honestly, driving this in normal is more than enough. You have all your comfort and a nice blend of power as well in there. Now, I will say getting used to these seats can take a while, especially getting your right adjustment into them. And I would park this in a parking lot, park it in your driveway, and spend some time figuring that out before you take this on a road, because you could be uncomfortable or supremely comfortable like I am right now, getting a massage and relaxing this driving experience. And this is really for people that love that big commanding view of the road. And you can, I'm sitting pretty low actually in the seats right now, but you can get way up high sitting in these seats, and you really have a nice tall view over everyone on the road as well as over the hood, so you can see. And shockingly, actually, it's not that difficult to kind of maneuver around. This hood is kind of shorter and lower than I was expecting, and honestly, I found it more difficult to drive something like the new Mazda CX-50, which had the hood was higher and lower compared to where you're sitting in the driver's seat, and I actually found that more difficult to maneuver around versus this, which is a really weird tidbit that I noticed. And the 360 cameras and parking sensors obviously help with that tremendously. So honestly, it's not something you really ever have to worry about. Now, going off of this kind of display you have up here, there's not that much stuff you can configure. If you do put it in the different drive modes, it doesn't really do too much even then. So, for example, if you put it in Excite mode, 4x4 shift in progress, nothing really changes. But you can configure stuff that's happening in the center display. Let me just go back to normal and balance, and you can see what's happening with the four-wheel drive system. So in normal mode, we're in rear-wheel drive high mode for the gearbox. If you put it in Excite, you're in 4x4 kind of high mode, so it's going on all four wheels at all times. So that's something to keep note of. And of course, if you go in the different modes, that will adjust and it'll let you know what's happening with that. But you can see when we try to adjust our heads-up display, you can see a different menu will pop up there. You can also cycle through what's happening in the center multifunction display right there. If you guys can see that, tire pressure, seat belts, and you just have like a blank screen if you want that, your trip information, fuel economy. Again, pretty basic stuff in there, nothing too crazy. You do have some settings with your display setup if you want to kind of go into this a little bit more. But again, it's really basic information, nothing too crazy. Like this, I do like this calm display right here, actually. That's really cool. Now, I'm going to try my best to kind of demonstrate the Lincoln ActiveGlide system to you guys, but I'm not sure if it's going to work with the camera on my head, because I may need to try to see my eyes better. What is this traffic being held up here, guys? There we go. But you definitely got some serious when you have a camera glued to your head. That's one thing to keep note of. Now, I have found using this infotainment display is pretty simple while you're driving, but depending on how you're sitting, it might be a little difficult to reach all the way over. You're gonna have to like get out of your seat a little bit to reach over, which I have found be a little bit annoying. I think they do notice that, and they kind of moved all the main menu displays over to your left side a little bit, which I have noticed. You have this little additional display with some lower control buttons on there. So I think they kind of took that into notice right there. But still, if you do need to get stuff on that display, it is a little bit difficult to reach over there sometimes, depending on who you are. Now this Navigator, of course, all the Navigators are using the same engine, twin turbocharged EcoBoost V6 under the hood, over 400 horsepower. It is pretty powerful and potent. I believe it's quicker than even the Escalade's V8, which is impressive. And I don't know how much it's doing better on fuel economy, but I think it's a fine engine. I really don't think you're missing anything out if you get this versus the Escalade engine, which has a big naturally aspirated V8. Now on a highway, it is also really smooth of a vehicle. People jumping in and out of the lanes over there. It's pretty smooth, which is nice. And now I'm gonna try to activate Blue Cruise right now for you guys. Lane keeping system on. ActiveGlide is on. Watch the road. Be prepared to resume control. So it's pretty simple to use. And now we're on ActiveGlide. So I am actually legally allowed to take my hands off of the steering wheel, which is super cool. You can kind of see this animation on there, which is really nice. And it will beep at me if I kind of like look away from the screen right there. See, look, keep hands on the steering wheel. So it's gonna alert me if I turn my head away. And that's thanks to these infrared cameras. So it's always watching your eyes while you're on the road. And it's really not coming off in this display right here, but the heads-up display in the Navigator is one of my favorite in the entire industry. It is huge, and it kind of shows all this information up there. And I really do like the blue animation for the ActiveGlide. I think it looks pretty cool. I think it's cool. It works pretty well, but you do have to keep your eyes straight on the road for it to kind of be super functional. And turning it on and off is as easy as pressing a button, and now you're back to normal driving once again. And if you do need acceleration in the Navigator, you have it for sure. A lot of torque and power from that engine. And it is impressive how smooth it is as well. Really nice. Now, obviously, you're not going to be buying the Navigator for something that's going to handle well. It is a big truck-based SUV. If you're looking for something like that, you're probably going to want to go with one of the unibody-based vehicles, such as like a BMW X7, a Mercedes GLS, or even a Range Rover Sport, which is significantly smaller than this. Or you can stay in brand with Lincoln and go for the Aviator, which also offers 3 rows of seating and is a rear-wheel drive-based unibody frame, all aluminum, not a truck-based frame. It does drive a little bit better, but of course you are going to sacrifice that gigantic feeling and a little bit of space that you're going to be missing out, because this thing is a huge box of a school bus at the end of the day. That's pretty much it. I just want to take you guys on a short drive, and thank you guys for joining me on this video of the 2023 Navigator. Stay tuned for a lot more stuff coming real soon.